You just heard a noise in the other room. Your heart rate spiked before you even registered what it was. Your hand froze mid-motion. For half a second, you were not a person checking email or making dinner. You were something much older. Something built for a world that no longer exists. But the real answer is far stranger than you got startled. Your brain did not evolve to live in the world you actually live in. It evolved to keep a small, slow, soft-bodied primate alive on the savannah. No claws, no armor, no speed, just a nervous system tuned to one job. Notice danger before danger notices you. That system is still running, right now, in you. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping exactly how this works inside the brain. He found that a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala can react to a threat before the thinking part of your brain even finishes processing what it saw. Sound reaches your ears. Within milliseconds, a rough, blurry signal gets rushed straight to the amygdala, skipping the slower, more accurate route through your visual cortex. Your body starts reacting to a shape in the shadows before you consciously know it is just a coat on a hook. That is not a flaw. That is the entire point. Because for most of human history, the cost of being wrong was not symmetrical. If you mistook a coat for a predator, you wasted a second of adrenaline. If you mistook a predator for a coat, you did not get a second chance. Evolution does not optimize for accuracy. It optimizes for survival. And a brain that overreacts to danger survives more often than a brain that calmly waits for full confirmation. So your ancestors who flinched first, asked questions later, passed on their genes. The calm, careful ones who paused to verify? Less often. You are the descendant of the flinchers. Here is where it gets stranger. This ancient alarm system does not know the difference between a lion in the grass and a text message from your boss. Psychologist Robert Sapolsky, who spent years studying stress in wild baboons, found something remarkable when he compared them to humans. A baboon's stress response is short and situational. A lion appears, cortisol spikes. The baboon runs, the threat resolves, cortisol drops. Minutes. That is the whole cycle. Humans do something baboons cannot do. We can trigger that exact same cortisol spike just by thinking about a threat that has not happened yet, might never happen, or already ended hours ago. Replaying an argument in your head at 2 a.m., worrying about a deadline that is still 4 days away, rereading a text message, looking for a tone that might not even be there. Your amygdala treats every one of these the same way it would treat a rustle in tall grass. It cannot tell the difference between a real predator and an imagined one. To your oldest neural circuitry, a threat is a threat. Why would evolution build something so easily fooled? Because for nearly all of human history, there was no other kind of threat to prepare for. There was no rent, no inbox, no group chat. There was weather, predators, rival tribes, and starvation. A brain that could anticipate danger even slightly before it arrived had an edge. The problem is that the modern world generates an almost unlimited supply of things that look like danger to a system built for the savannah, even when nothing is actually chasing you. This mismatch has a name. Researchers call it evolutionary mismatch, and few phenomena illustrate it as clearly as the fear of public speaking. Ask people what they are most afraid of, and speaking in front of a crowd routinely outranks fear of death. That sounds absurd until you understand where it comes from. For most of human history, humans lived in small bands of maybe 50 to 150 people. Your survival depended entirely on your standing within that group. Getting rejected by the tribe did not mean embarrassment. It meant losing access to food, protection, and mates. It could mean death. So your nervous system still treats being watched and judged by a group of strangers as a survival-level event. Standing on a stage in front of 200 people triggers the same physiological alarm that would have gone off if your entire ancestral tribe turned against you at once. Your palms sweat, your voice shakes, your mind goes blank. None of that is really about the speech. It is about an ancient fear of exile wearing a modern costume. Notice how none of these systems ever got the memo that the world changed. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy has written extensively about how much of human psychology was shaped not by isolated survival, but by the intense social bonds required to raise vulnerable, slow-developing infants in cooperative groups. Humans are, at their core, an intensely social species, wired to monitor group belonging as closely as we monitor physical danger. That wiring did not disappear when we started living in cities of millions. It just got confused. Think about the last time you checked your phone for no clear reason, not because you needed information, just an urge, a pull. That pull is the same ancient circuitry, again mismatched to its environment. For hundreds of thousands of years, staying updated on your social group was directly tied to survival. Knowing who was upset with whom, who had food, who was a threat, who was an ally. Missing that information could cost you standing, resources, protection. Your brain still runs that exact program. It just now points it at a screen full of strangers' opinions instead of your actual tribe. You are not weak for feeling anxious about being unread. You are ancient. There is something almost moving in this, once you see it clearly. Every irrational spike of fear, every sleepless spiral of worry, every sweaty-palmed moment before a presentation is not a personal failure. It is a message from a system that has kept humans alive for nearly 200,000 years, still faithfully doing its job in a world it was never designed for. Your brain is not broken. It is simply out of date. And once you know that, something shifts. The racing heart before a work presentation is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that you are running very old, very effective software in a very new environment. The late-night worry spiral is not a character flaw. It is a predator detection system firing at shadows because it has no better target. None of this means you have to obey every alarm your body sends you. Understanding where the signal comes from is often enough to loosen its grip. The next time your chest tightens before hitting send on an email, or your stomach drops before walking into a room full of people, you can notice the feeling and recognize it for what it actually is. Not evidence of danger, but an echo. A savannah-tuned alarm, ringing in a world made of glass and Wi-Fi. You just heard a noise in the other room. This time, you know exactly why your body reacted before your mind did. And you know it is not because something is chasing you. It is because deep in your skull, something never stopped believing that it might.